There we go. Thank you for still keeping us company. We are glad you have chosen to continue with us here on Good Morning Kenya. In case you are just joining us, karibu tena sana. I am Jain Wambui. You can let us know where you're watching us from today. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jain Wambui. We will be sampling your views as we proceed on with the show. So right now we want to get into our lifestyle segment, and today we want to talk about something that, you know, for most of people we may take for granted until you actually get to understand the journey of someone who has been through this. And this is all about stammering or stuttering. Now tomorrow, which is the 22nd of October, it is a day that is set aside internationally to create awareness around stuttering. But today we want to have this conversation to understand what it means, what an individual who stutters has to go through on a daily, and what you and I can better do when it comes to awareness around stuttering. With us in studio today, we have Naftal Nyamongo, who for the purpose of this discussion is going to represent the stutterers population in our country. Good morning, Naftal.
Morning to you.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Are you on social media so that our viewers can also interact with you, or you prefer we set that aside for now?
No, on Facebook, I'm in Nyamongo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you can interact with him both on a personal level, or you can also talk with us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Now, we want to understand, you know, how your journey has been getting to where you are today, because for most of us, we might not really understand a journey of an individual who we haven't walked. So let's just start with way back then. You know, at what age were you even aware of the condition that you have, stuttering?
Oh, okay. It is quite noting that there are two accusations of stammering. One is congenital, and the other is acquired in life.
And also you acquire.
Now, mine is congenital. The congenital means present at birth.
Yes.
But not necessarily hereditary. But again, it may be congenital at the same time hereditary.
Yes.
Because my grandfather was a stammerer.
Yes.
So mine is both congenital and hereditary. So again, when I was born, I'm told by the age of 4, I had not started speaking.
Okay.
So my parents thought it was autism. Autism is normally associated with the communication disorders.
Yes.
But later on, when I was now 5 years, then they discovered that it was a speech inconsistency.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, from the research that I've been able to done, I understand there are 3 categories when it comes to stuttering. We have blockage, we have repetition, and prolongation. Now, from what you have gotten to understand about your condition, in which category does it fall under?
Okay. Mine is repetition. At the same time, that block.
Okay.
So sometimes I repeat words, and sometimes my tongue becomes heavy.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, we want to understand how this has impacted your life, and especially looking at, growing up, because for most of the times we even hear when people are in situations where people are having conversations and somebody says something, then the other persons ask them to repeat. They use this slay or other sentence, did I stutter? We use it so casually without really understanding the impact that it has on an individual who may stutter. So how has the stuttering and stammering affected your life, and especially looking at how you have grown up, interacting with other children and other individuals, and even getting to where you are today?
In the point of fact, it has impacted adversely, mainly on my social participation.
Yes.
Like now, as Stammerer may have an intention of an ethical conversations. But sometimes through that stammering, you are unwillingly converted to an ethical conversations. Like now, some words like now, you can say in my mother tongue. A pot is a Nyamongo, but due to that difficulty in pronunciation, it may end up turning to an and you say Nyonga.
What does that mean?
Nyonga is us. Yeah, so stammering impacts adversely on social participation.
Okay. Now, looking at when you were starting to, going back to that age that you were told when they noticed that maybe you have delayed when it comes to speaking, what are the other signs that you were displaying or showing that pointed to the fact that it wasn't actually autism that they thought was the condition, but actually the stutter?
Number one, they say I was very arrogant. And I could get angry. So I was basically violent. I could destroy property, and I could also engage in fights. While I was growing. Yes.
Now, looking at also time when you were growing up, at what age were you able to, and especially when you're coming to interact with the other children and other people in those spaces, how were you able to properly engage and inculcate yourself in the societal space with other friends in a way that you found was also helpful for you?
Now, what made me make it inroads in speech is that rejection which I faced from more especially my peers. So that now it was like now I'm defaulting back. So in the process, I found myself having the confidence now to face now issues. Yes.
And maybe tell us a bit about how school life was, and especially looking at when it comes to stuttering, it is quite a small percentage of the population that actually have this condition. So a great majority of the population don't know how to help or even manage such a situation. Looking at your time in school, how were you able to interact with children and the teachers, and also understanding that they also may lack the awareness that is necessary?
Number one, it's not a small percentage as such. It's only that most of the people don't want it to showcase. Like now, according to the World Bank report, 1% of the world's population is stammerers. The world is projected at 7.8 billion. So it's like we have 75 million people who stammer. And now that we have 193 states in the world, you can project now Kenya having an estimated figure of 300,000 people. Yeah. So in school, also I got a very hard moment in my primary, because by then I was young and naive. One thing you should know about stammering is that it don't really affect our verbal communication. So when it came to reading paragraphs, I encountered difficulties, and now most of my teachers, from my own point of view, it's like they viewed it as fun, so they could make fun of me. But I could feel extremely bad. They never understood that this stammering is not fun. It's a disability. So it is with such an activity in mind that the Kenyan constitution now came up with provisions that defines who is a disabled person. And in accordance with that Article 27 of Part 2 of Chapter 4 of the Kenyan Constitution 2010, the Constitution provides equality and freedom from discrimination. And from this article, now we had Parliament come up with the national legislations on disability. Number one is the Persons with the Disabilities Act 2003 with the advised edition of 2012, and also the National Gender and Equality Commission Act. Now, in both laws, Part 1, which contemplates the preliminary, the word disability means a physical, sensory, mental, or other impairment including any visual, hearing, learning, and any physical incapability which impacts adversely or on social, economic, and environmental participation.
Okay.
There is also a term used in the National Gender and Equality Commission Act. That this disability must have a substantial or long-term effect on an individual's ability to carry out ordinary day-to-day activities.
Okay.
Now, substantial means anything more than small, and the long term means anything more longer than 1 year. When you look at my case, you cannot say that this something is small. It is something big, and because it's more than 1 year, because currently I'm 34 years, and I've been living with it since my birth. Now, some times back, I met a friend of mine who, in fact, encouraged myself to visit the National Council for persons with the disabilities.
Yes.
Part 2 of the Persons with the Disabilities Act as anchored a national council for persons with the disabilities. This is a body which has been given the mandate to carry out examinations and determine various disabilities.
Yes.
So I visited them, and they guided me on the appropriate procedures. Then once I was done, now I was able to become their member.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'd like for you to tell us a bit about the treatment options that are available when it comes to stuttering and stammering, and especially looking at the Kenyan setup. What have you been able to interact with?
Of course, I know about occupational therapy, where you meet a speech therapist to guide you through.
Yes.
But some cases you see in that regard, it should begin when someone is a bit young. When the disability has grown, it's difficult to eliminate. Yeah. So I don't think once someone is has a natural disability can be just eliminated. It's like being born black or white. Yeah.
All right. Now, we'll be looking at some of those challenges in a bit, but before we get to do that, we want to take a very quick commercial break. Remember, we welcome you to be part of this conversation. If you have any questions, comments, or you're just seeking clarifications, we welcome you to share with us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We will be addressing them when we're back from this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. We continue with this discussion. Remember, this is all about the eve towards marking the International Stuttering Day, which will be tomorrow, the 22nd of October. And with us in studio today, we have Naftal Nyamongo, who for the purpose of this discussion has agreed to represent the stammering part of the population. Now, getting back to the conversation, I'd like for us to address some challenges that may be involved when it comes to getting the assistance that is necessary for the stammering population. And let's start with diagnosis. Do you think this diagnosis is usually made at a very good age to assist even when it comes to speech therapy for it to be effective later on in life?
Now, the main issue with the diagnosis is that some parents usually assume. So it should be clear that when your baby has not been able to establish their speech early enough. Know then that there is something wrong with their speech. It may be autism or stammering. Now, in this case, then you need to consult experts, and the government of Kenya has provided these facilities. When you go to any level 4 or 5 public hospital,
yes,
you will find an occupational therapist. Say when you go to Mama Lucy, Kibaki, or Mbagathi, or Kiambu, any level 4 hospital, it is more cheaper in public hospitals than in private.
The cost for going for the therapy?
Yes. You will be very much assisted in a public hospital than even in private.
So the cost to access some of these therapies, it becomes a challenge for some that may be needing their services, but they're not able to afford it.
Like now, there's no much cost. It's like you pick your medical card at 50 shillings, and then you pay for the medical fee maybe at 1K, and then you meet now an occupational therapist. It is this occupational therapist who has the expertise to determine what is the source of your problem, and then now from there they will be able to make recommendations.
Okay.
For maybe medicines, or for other cures.
Okay. Now let's talk a bit about some myths and misconceptions that may be among the population, and especially when it comes to stammering and stuttering. Which are some that you have encountered that are completely misguided?
Personally, number one, you see, when you meet a person with a disability of stammering, and you don't know their position, so you always think they don't know. Number one. Number two, you think they are arrogant. Number three, you think they are less intelligent. And then number four, you think that they are unfriendly, which is totally different. Now, for you to get services from a stammerer, number one is stammerer does not need anything from you. What they need from you is your time. Be patient with them. Do not complete their words or their sentences. It's not that they don't know. They know, but now it is the difficult of bringing it out. Personally, the most extremely bad experiences I encounter is when I'm speaking to a person through phone, and it is the first time. So in that case, let me say I don't communicate completely, because most Kenyans are very impatient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I could prefer we meet physically.
Okay.
Yes, and when maybe I want assistance, and I don't know that this person whom I'm seeking assistance from is also a stammerer.
Okay.
So when I've completed my speech, they come up with their own fashion. So in the process, I feel it's like this person is imitating me. Little do I know it is my fellow stammerer.
Yeah. Now, as we gear up to celebrate the International Stuttering/Stammering Awareness Day tomorrow, and the theme being "Speak the Change You Wish to See," what does this day mean for you, and especially given you are part of the stuttering community, living in a population where sometimes you feel misunderstood?
Now, the east side, it's called east side in the National Stuttering Awareness Day. This is a big day for me and to the stammering community.
Yes.
The United Nations Council chose the 22nd of October annually to be celebrated as the International Day for Stammerers.
Yes.
And personally now, because that day is tomorrow, I am very much happy together with my fellow friends in the stammering community in Kenya. So east side includes online conferences which run from the 1st of October to the 22nd of October. We do public awareness, and then number one, we ask the public, is you permit us your time, be patient with us, because we are a part of you. So we don't need your money or clothes. In fact, Tamara, if you give us Tamara food and you deny them time to speak, you have done zero work. So we need what we are requesting the members of the public, give us time, and can you establish on your own that this person has a difficulty in speech, and to the stammerers, this day is also to urge them to come out and speak to the people, and let them understand that you are a stammerer.
Okay.
Because many stammerers hide their disabilities, and the people now choose to treat them as normal. So it's good for you, before you greet the audience, please ask them to be patient with you, because your words are not capable of being made consistent or harmonious.
Okay.
In so doing, you will be prepared reading them, so that they cannot misunderstand you.
Okay. Now, as we come nearer and nearer to the close of the conversation, I have Millicent here who is asking, kindly help me understand, when it comes to stammering, does it get better with age as you grow up?
Okay, now that one is specifically, if a stammerer is put in a platform where they now cut out consistent speech. So in the process, you know, practice makes perfect.
Yes.
That question is important, because this day also we celebrate some notable figures globally who have been stammerers throughout history.
Yes.
In the field of science, philosophy, politics, sports, music, arts. Now, the late former Prime Minister of England, Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was a stammerer. When you read his biography, Churchill, because he used to prepare his speeches later on in life, he could conquer the stammering.
Okay.
So there is a possibility for one to eliminate this problem as they grow. Okay. But I consider unlikely whether it will be an overhaul.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, as we close this discussion, maybe just take this time to send a message, your call to action message, to both the general population as well as the stuttering population, and especially so geared towards tomorrow. There's your camera right there, so maybe you can just speak to our viewers this morning.
Yes. And, number one, I would like to speak to the government of Kenya, to adhere to the Kenyan constitution and the provisions hearing with respect to persons with disabilities. For instance, Article 54, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution envisages the state shall ensure the progressive implementation of the principle that at least 5% of the members of the public in elective and appointed bodies shall be persons with disabilities. So my appeal to the government of Kenya through the Public Service Commission, in this day, consider those people who have an inconsistency with the speech, so that they can work for the government of Kenya, because as Paul says in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 6, that I may not be a polished speaker, but I have knowledge. So many people who may be not trained in speech, but they have no knowledge. If given an opportunity, can make this country a great nation. And to my fellow stammerers, I urge you to come out and speak, prepare the ground before you greet anyone. Let them know your condition. Let them know your impairment. You letting them know your impairment will assist to a communication, because this is not an inability, it is a disability. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have been speaking with Naftal Nyamongo, who, for the purposes again for this conversation, has agreed to represent the stuttering part of our population. Remember, tomorrow is the International Stammering or Stuttering Day, a day that is set aside every single year on the 22nd of October to create more and more awareness around stuttering as a speech impairment. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Now, we are not yet done with Good Morning Kenya. We still have entertainment coming up in a bit. Remember, it is Entertainment Thursdays. We will want to switch it up and move on to some entertainment. Stay with us.